I never grew up saying I wanted to be a heroin addict. And I never thought in a million years that I would be. And here I am. I had some teeth that needed root canals and some dental work done. And then I got introduced to Vicodin, and then I started to abuse it. And then it kind of took on a life of its own. My marriage dissolved, and I no longer live with my children. They live with their father. I found myself in dangerous situations that I shouldn't be in, and relying on it to get through my day. I feel like it's brought my self-esteem down to zero, so I just wouldn't wish this upon anybody.
Drug addiction is a huge problem because it destroys not only the life of the user, but it also destroys the families connected to those users. So it has impacts on children, it impacts spouses and relatives, and impacts people's jobs, their lives, their livelihood.
Opioid addiction really is an epidemic in the United States. Illicit use of these drugs really can devastate people's lives, but more than that, they are associated with a high risk of mortality. In 2021, there were more than 100,000 deaths related to opioid overdose or opioid-related overdose.
After a couple months, I knew I needed help. I've tried a few times to get help. I've been to about 8 rehabs for it, and none of them have seemed to work just yet. So hopefully this time around, something will change.
My name is Dr. Sandra Comer. I am a professor of neurobiology in the Department of Psychiatry at Columbia University, and I run a very active research lab that is devoted to developing medications and studying the abuse liability of opioids. One of the projects that I'm most passionate about involves use of an opioid vaccine. And the idea is that once people have been vaccinated, they will develop antibodies to oxycodone. So if they happen to use oxycodone after they've been vaccinated, the antibodies will bind to the oxycodone that they've ingested, and then it will prevent it from getting into the brain.
In the opioid vaccine study, what we're doing is administering the vaccine with the intent that the subjects will develop antibodies to opioids so that those drugs will no longer produce a pleasurable response when taken.
This vaccine has been tested pretty extensively in rodent models and shows quite good effectiveness. And we're currently running a clinical trial, the phase 1 clinical trial with Clinolabs on this project.
This vaccine trial is different from studies that we normally run here at Clinolabs for opioid use disorder in that we recruit people who are actually heroin addicts. Because there is a lab challenge aspect to this study where we actually give the subject either oxycodone or heroin or placebo to insufflate or snort. You cannot ask a subject or a person who is not using those types of drugs to come and do that.
I found this clinical trial through a Facebook group I was in.
The primary aims of this study are to test the safety of the vaccine, but also to test the subject's immune response once they've been administered the vaccine.
We have to bring the subject in, give them the vaccine, give them the challenge periods, and we're taking blood from them to make sure that that the drug is how the drug is moving through their body and how it's eliminated. But also we are asking them very, very frequently, how are you feeling? Are you feeling a drug effect? Do you like the drug effect? And so on and so forth, right through until about 4 hours after the challenge. So the opioid, we're actually challenging the vaccine with those lab sessions.
When I first heard it was a vaccine, I didn't think it was possible. I kind of thought it was unbelievable a little bit. And then the more I started reading the articles on it and all the work that they've done, all the research that they've done on it, and I thought it sounds amazing. And the more I got involved with it, the more mind-blowing it was, the more committed I became.
When we think of vaccines, we typically think of childhood illnesses such as measles, mumps. We have vaccines for flus. So there's a novel idea now that we can actually use vaccines to treat something preempted, something like an opioid use disorder, rather than an infectious disease.
As I started coming here week after week and then started to find out that I was one of the first ones that this vaccine could actually help people, I became completely invested in it. If my drug use could do anything good for anybody else, it would make it all worth it.
That makes me feel hopeful that there are people out there who are addicted to opioids but are willing to come and try and help us move towards finding something that is going to help these people in the future. Because I think that's what the aim of everybody is involved with this trial, from the subjects through to the staff.
I'm excited for the future. I have my ups and downs, but hopefully, fingers crossed, and with some hard work, I can get there. I look forward to seeing my children grow up. I look forward to spending more time with my family. Hopefully some healing needs to be done. Hopefully all good things will come with sobriety.
This trial matters a lot to us here at Clinical Labs because it is a huge epidemic in this country, and if we can start to get something that will help people and start bringing those numbers down, it would be a huge benefit to a lot of people.
To be doing this work now is tremendously exciting because it is a novel approach to treating a psychiatric disorder, a substance use disorder. And if this approach works in opioid use disorder, there are potentially other applications for vaccines. For example, to treat Alzheimer's disease or other types of conditions. So this work really opens up an entire new avenue of treatment.